Are there particular cyber risk frameworks that organizations should be using to help them understand their security posture and help them actually create a strategy around cyber?
Absolutely. I used to have a mantra in my organization said, tools, not rules. It's nice to have a lot of rules in place, but for people to follow it, you really need to have some tools going along with it, because that provides a rigor in terms of actually making the rules happen. So the good news actually here is that we do have tools in the form of frameworks. Now, the premier one at a macro level is the NIST cybersecurity framework. That's NIST is for National Institute of Standards and Technology under the US Commerce Department. And this was really chartered about 3 years ago as part of an executive order of the Obama administration to protect critical assets in the US. So it started as a US thing and a US initiative. Guess what? It very quickly grew to have many nations participate in that effort. I was in the early part of it, this evolution, but a lot of nations participated, almost 15 to 20 participated in this evolution. And guess what? There were a lot of companies in the commercial industry who participated in this evolution. So the good news is that as the NIST cybersecurity framework has evolved, it has got tremendous amount of buy-in, not only from the people who run the critical infrastructure of the United States, but also from commercial industry companies, and more importantly, from other countries. So that has been a really good, actually, I would say, emergence of this framework, to such a degree that even China recently came from a trip to China. They wanted to get a complete briefing on this cybersecurity framework. And of course, we shared with them what was in the public domain on the NIST cybersecurity framework. At the heart of NIST cybersecurity framework is the fact that you can use it effectively to address gaps in your organization. Do a self-assessment, identify the gaps, figure out what remediation is possible, and the NIST cybersecurity framework helps you along that. So you can actually get yourself in a better posture. And it applies to small organizations. It can apply to very well-established organizations to make sure you continuously identify threats and what's going on. So at a macro level, NIST cybersecurity framework. And I would say if at organizational level, it's important to have a framework to prepare against identified threats in any organization, as well as monitor communication training which is taking place in that organization, and be able to react to crises should that happen, by containing the crises itself, making sure the right stakeholder communication is taking place, and have business continuity plans. So between the macro level framework as well as the organizational level framework, you can get yourself to be in a reasonably good place, so you'll have a good sense and arms around what's going on inside of the organization going forward.
So the message is really to pick a framework. You mentioned NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology. I used that a long time ago when I was responsible for starting up a team in General Motors to help design controls into new application systems. So that worked very well there. I also used COBIT in General Motors, and that was great around IT governance, IT processes, and things like that. So a lot of good frameworks out there. Pick one, stick with it, and make it work, I guess, is the message I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The thing is, there's buy-in. So it's not like if you pick NIST, you'll be one-off. It's actually great buy-in from across the industry at large.
Yeah. The other thing about NIST is that they're updating it. I saw recently that they realized that the guidance that they put out years ago, maybe in those years when I was designing application systems around passwords, and they've looked at that now and they've actually updated that to say that, that isn't such great guidance. We've got better guidance for you now today. So I think that's great that they update that.
Yeah, there you go. Buy-in really helps to make sure it's a living, breathing document and living, breathing framework.
Absolutely.